Good morning, everyone. This is Jonathan back with another little review. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Tron XY XY100, otherwise known as the iMakr Startt. This printer's mainly known for its $100 price point, which is the reason that I bought it. It has a Bowden extruder type with, it appears to be an EVD V5, I think. It's a clone, I do know that much. And I wanted to talk about my experience with it so far, what kind of things you should expect from it if you do buy it. I've only got it right now set up for doing maintenance, so I'm not going to be able to show you it in action. I will post an update or an extra video later. So a couple of the mods that you are going to want to do off the start when you buy this printer is going to be the Y-axis tensioner, which I've got a new one printed right here, and this fits on. It's kind of like the what's the name of the printer? The ANA A8 tensioner, and it fits right here, and you use a screw to simply adjust the tension in your belt. The second one you're going to want to print is actually why I've got it in front of me today, which is the X-axis tensioner, this will be replacing this right here. I will post an update, of course, with this as well. Now, I am worried about this part right here because what I'm going to have to do is take the entire X-axis off, or at least this one side, but the rods that are included are a bit long, so I'm going to see if I can swap these out for the ones on the Y-axis and see if there's any way I can actually make that work. I might have to print new end caps for the Y-axis in order to get that working, but I'm not actually concerned about it right now. If push comes to shove, I can take it down to the grinder in my shop and just grind these down to the appropriate size. Either that, or I'm going to try seeing if I can hammer them in to this half of the X-axis. So things you're going to need to do when you buy this thing is the smooth rods come with no lubricants on them, so I just took some 3-in-1 and put it on it. The 3-in-1 though, after using it for a while, it began to creak a little, and I was a little concerned, but the bearings are, you get what you expect for $100. I'm not planning on switching to Aegis or Egoose or whatever the dry printed bearings are from China or Japan or wherever. So these work just fine for now. The printer has gotten some amazing print quality. And let me grab an example real quick. This was printed not too terribly long ago. This is before, mind you, the X-axis has had any modification, but the amount of detail that this thing can put out is quite impressive, and it gets a great amount of speed. They have their own Cura firmware, so I suggest when you purchase this printer, make sure you update the Repetier software using the Cura, or not Cura, but the Repetier firmware upgrade on iMakr's website. They've got a version that's custom made for it on there. That increases or decreases per se, the amount of time that you have to wait for the extruder to heat up, and it does a much better job. Now, on the other hand, you're going to want to download their personal version of Cura. It's got most of their settings fine-tuned. Only thing I had to fiddle around with was getting retraction to work. Another thing that you're going to want to print when you buy this, and they don't actually tell you to do this, but print some Bowden extruder clips. I had, the first couple of prints I had, issues with the Bowden actually coming loose from either end, and I would come back and it'd just be a whole mess. Now, this printer runs off of a Melzi board. It's famous for causing issues on some other printers with the hotbed, and it's not able to withstand, and I'm sorry, this is actually loose because I had to rewire it for the not the thermistor, but the heater went bad on it a while ago, and I had to replace it. Another mod that you can perform is the printed bed upgrade. This increases your X-axis width for printing by about 25 millimeters, which is a good bit. It actually, I've found the best part about this mod is that you can actually not worry about this bumping in right here. This fan duct is also something I'm going to be reprinting after doing this, just that the tolerances are a bit tighter. Other than that, it's a great little printer for the price. I can't recommend it enough. If you're just getting into 3D printing and you want something for small, detailed figures, this can definitely pump it out if you're willing to put the time and effort into the maintenance. I'm going to let everyone know how this goes after the fact, but my biggest concerns with this are not per se quality control, because I've actually had less issues out of the box with this than I did with my iMakr Select. The original models of this came with printed pieces on the sides, kind of like this, but the upgraded version, or the newer version, actually comes with it. They seem injection molded, and so there's no more of the twisting or binding issues with the x-axis that were on previous models. So that's a plus for sure. Out of the box, tensioning the belt is a pain. You're going to want to print this tensioner rather quick. And my biggest complaint was how much these rods stuck out at the end, because I'm afraid that when I put this on, the tensioner fits in like so, and I'm not going to have enough room. Well, if I can get it to... Oh, there. Yeah. I had it right the first time. But I'm afraid that there's going to be too much sticking out for me to actually get this tensioner to work. So I'm probably going to have to grind this down to size unless there's more in there that fits or somehow. Aside from that, a lot of it comes pre-assembled. You just have to follow the instructions. It wasn't very clear on how to get instructions, but another complaint was the fan duct, the fan shroud was the only printed part that came on this kit. And while, yes, I'm glad that was the only printed part, I wasn't a big fan of the quality of it. It was kind of rushed, it looked warped on one side, but it still fit on altogether. I can't really complain about that. Just a minor gripe. The heater coil that came with it originally died after about a month or two of use. You can replace those easily. It's just a pain because if you've got all the cable wrap around it, you've got to take all of that out and redo it on your Melzi board. I originally thought it was my Melzi messing up, so I took it off and I tried resoldering the joints because it would work. I think one of the cables snapped off of it. I'm not really too concerned about it. That's just general maintenance for moving back and forth. Eventually, that wears down. Another thing to make sure of is that your heater block is actually on. I've got, and I can't show you on the camera, unfortunately, right now, but I've got a little bit of plastic that melted out of the top and the bottoms. Just want to make sure that's tight, but not so tight that you snap it off. You're going to have to heat it up to do that. Aside from that, the acrylic parts have held up really well. I was originally going to make this conversion to a water jet cut metal part, but honestly, the biggest part of this printer that's wobbly or not stable because of acrylic is this right here, and you can see just how much plays in there. It's because these nuts are very loose. Now, I've got some lock nuts that I might try, but I just feel like that's going to be a lot of work to put on there. But hopefully it'll make the printer quite a bit more rigid. It's just a matter of time spent into it. But overall, for $100, you can't really beat this price for a printer. Well, most of the upgrades you can print, I've actually upgraded it to a glass bed. There are tutorials online on how to add a heated bed to this, which is really quite simple. It prints great. I mean, I'll give you another look at that. This layer unfortunately warped a little bit, but this was before. I've got this sitting on foam, so part of it sinks, and so you had to level the bed every single time. But if it's on a solid surface, it's actually a little loud. But also, you're going to want to grease these rods up, all of them. These are going to need some solid I use some PTFE. It's a thicker lubricant, silicone-based, I think. And these are going to want to use like some 3-in-1 or 3-in-1 PTFE oil. That just keeps this smooth and nice, and these will squeak the whole way up and down if you're not careful. But aside from that, for $100, this has actually been a great printer. It was a breeze to put together. I got it together in about one or two nights. And aside from that, I couldn't be happier for $100. So, kids' birthday, or if you're just looking to get into 3D printing, I can't recommend it enough. So that's my take on the iMakr Startt. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. And as always, thank you.